probably about twice or 3 times as big as Crookston. So I grew up in a big area. I grew up in a Christian household. I was baptized as a baby. But when you're baptized at a young age, you don't really understand the significance of a baptism. So that I didn't. I was baptized as an infant. I grew up with my 2 sisters, Nicole and Jessica. Grew up with my mom, Wendy, and my dad, Doug. I don't remember much about my life in Brainerd except the fact that there was always fighting. I mean, my parents, my sisters were always fighting in my house. So besides that, I don't remember much. Jumping forward to 2012, my dad had got laid off from the Wausau paper mill in Brainerd, and he lost his job. And that was just a painful time because there's so much stress only having one income. There's just emotions were all over the place, and there's even more fighting and more sadness in my house. I remember praying a lot with my mom, but there was just always someone crying in the house. And I didn't understand it. The only thing that I really gathered out of that was just that, like, we couldn't have nice things. I mean, we couldn't go and do things because there was just no money. I mean, my mom's money from the daycare went to pay the bills, and that was it. So in 2013, my dad got the job at Crystal Sugar here in Crookston, and he moved up here. And it was good to have more money coming in, but that was hard because I had no father at the house, and that was tough. He was home on the weekends, but time just flew on the weekends. And then my mom and him were having troubles because when someone's 160 miles away, I mean, obviously there's going to be some issues there. So in 2015, the rest of my family decided to move up to Crookston here, and we crammed my sister, my mom, and my dad into a 2-bedroom apartment with 2 pets. So that's the only option. I mean, you manage, but it was hard, and there was a lot of fighting, even more than there was in Brainerd. And my relationship with God wasn't really there. I mean, I prayed and we went to church on Sundays, but that was about it. So I started 6th grade year at Highland, and I didn't know anybody. It was a new school. And right away, the people that took me in were kind of the people that, like, I didn't want to be around with. I mean, I was swearing, I was just in the wrong crowd. And it started that way, and it kind of never changed throughout. So in 7th grade, we were at the high school. For some reason, I was outgoing, but for some reason I was outgoing in the wrong way. I was just being mean to people. I was still swearing. I was getting into trouble. I had my first detention 7th grade year. And it was I just wasn't a nice kid to be around. And in 7th grade, I also started an ongoing battle with personal sexual sin. And if you ever struggled with that, you know that it's painful. I mean, it makes you feel broken and alone, and it's just, I don't wish it on anyone. So I was introduced to that in 7th grade. The summer of 7th grade was the first time I've ever even heard of Blue Water. And I got to go that summer, and even in my cabin, we were young, but we were making like inappropriate jokes, and we were just being kids. But I remember in our one-on-one, me just breaking down to my counselor, who was Cam Persons at the time, just breaking down and telling him all of my struggles at home and the fighting, and it was that was powerful. And that lasted all through Blue Water. Then I came home, and right away it was gone. I mean, I just threw it out the window, never looked back at God, into my 8th grade year at school. And my 8th grade year at school, I progressively gotten worse. That summer, my mom and dad were having issues and decided to split households. And that was weighing on me through 8th grade year, and I was getting into more trouble. I had another detention, and I was still around the wrong crowd. I was swearing. I was just, again, not a nice kid to be around. I wasn't even looking at God. So that summer of 8th grade year, I went back to Blue Water. And again, it was awesome. My one-on-one was so powerful, and it was just a great week. I got to connect with God again. And then it lasted throughout, I tried to keep it up through about the summer, but 3 or 4 days after Blue Water, it just died out again. I just didn't have the fire for God going anymore, and I was just back to who I was. So going into 9th grade year, I was still it just progressively gotten worse. My battle with sexual sin had gotten worse. And I was alone. I had 5 or 6 friends. I felt alone. I was not happy. And my parents were divorced now, and that was weighing on me a lot because I felt like I had to step up, but I was still young. And October 10th in my 9th grade year of high school, one of my best friends at the time in South Dakota, Isaac McNamara, decided to take his own life. And that crushed me. I remember getting into the car, and there was just an eerie feeling. I mean, my mom was in tears, and I didn't know what was going on. So we went over to my dad's house, and the first time I'd ever seen my dad cry was that day. He was in the living room, and he was in tears. And I sat down, and he told me that Isaac had taken his own life. And honestly, it didn't faze me. I was sitting in the living room, and it didn't faze me. I didn't know what to think. I was shocked, but that was it. So we get in the car, and my friend calls me and is like, hey, you coming to homecoming tonight? Because this is the first year we were able to go. I was like, yeah, let's go. And I walked in the door of the kitchen, or at my mom's house, and I just broke down. Just couldn't even stand. I was weak. And that was powerful. I mean, God spoke to me in that moment, but I didn't really listen. So 9th grade year, which would have been, or 9th grade summer, going into 10th grade, I was going to Blue Water again, but I didn't want to. My mom had already paid for it. My mom had got me registered, but I was mad at God. I experienced anger with God, and I didn't want to go at all. So my mom was like, hey, we got to get up and go. So I just went. And that whole first day of Blue Water, my attitude was bad about it. I just didn't want to go. I just didn't want to be there. And finally, I woke up the second day, and I'm like, you know what, come on, it's camp. Let's at least try and have some fun, like go to the lake and stuff. So I turned it into a fun event. And Thursday night, the week of Blue Water, was the first week I'd ever experienced extended worship. And that was the most powerful night of my life. I mean, I got to talk to my counselor, and the next day, I had my one-on-one early in the morning, and I talked about all my struggles and how I was experiencing anger, and he told me that it was natural and that it was okay, that God didn't mean for this to happen, but he used it for my good. So, in 9th grade summer, I kept up that Christian fire for God all throughout the rest of the summer. And then 10th grade, I started a Fisher. And when I went to Fisher, apparently I was thinking in my head that I wanted to be one of the popular kids. And I acted like that. I thought I was on top of the world. I thought I was better than everyone. And I lost so many friends because of it. I had like 2 friends at Fisher my first year, and it was terrible. It was so alone, and I had fallen into depression for the first time in my life. And that led all the way into 10th grade this past summer. And I was treating my mom terrible, and that was just it. All my family was just mad at me because of the way I was acting. I had spent the whole summer with my dad, and I love my dad to death. He's one of my best friends, but my walk with Christ suffered spending the summer with him. The way I viewed people of other race, the way I viewed women, the way I even viewed my own family members and friends, just suffered being in that household. And my mom decided to tell my dad how she felt I'd been acting on my birthday. And the next night, my dad confronted me about it. And I remember being so mad that night at my mom that, how could she do this? She's making up a bunch of lies. But it's really because I didn't see it through my own eyes. So I go back to my mom's the week before Blue Water. And Thursday, we were leaving Monday. And Thursday, my mom had gotten an email from Chad at Blue Water saying that I was not registered. And I felt broken. I was destroyed. I was like, no one wants me around. Not even Blue Water wants me there. I felt terrible. And Thursday, Friday, and Saturday that weekend, I struggled with taking my own life. And that if you've ever battled with suicide, I can't be more happy that you're in this room right now. Just a second. I can't be more happy that you're here today. It's a battle that doesn't only hurt you, but it has such an impact on other people. And it's terrible. And I don't wish it on anyone. But that Sunday, my mom gave me some papers to take to Blue Water Monday and said that I was able to go. So Monday, I go to Blue Water, and I was just stoked. I mean, I arrived there, and it felt different. It was just a different year. Something about camp was different. And the speaker right away was powerful. I mean, He was talking about racial injustice, and he brought statistics, and he brought facts that just proved me wrong and opened my eyes so much. And then extended worship was just, I felt like a weight had been lifted off my chest. And that led all the way through the rest of Blue Water into when I got home. And 2 days after I got back from Blue Water, I had fallen into back where I was before Blue Water. And my mom and I got into a huge fight. And I remember just going up to my room in tears, like, God, I can't do this alone, I need you. Like, this is not who I want to be anymore. So since then, I haven't looked back. I mean, that was powerful. That was a God and I moment. I mean, it was just a great moment. And since then, that past summer, God gave me the strength to reach out to people and start the men's group that I've been working on since 2018. And without those people, I don't know where I'd be today. I mean, it's a great group of guys, and I'm glad that God gave it to me. And I've rebuilt some friendships. I am still distant with my dad. I'm working on that, but I don't know how to approach him about it. And there's just hurt there. But if there's anything that you gather from this testimony, just let it be that nothing is too big for God, no matter what it is. Nothing. Thank you.